Hello, I'm Tony.
And I'm Art.
And we're here from Garden Masterz with a Z.com. You can see how we're dressed. It's cold out. We're outside. It's winter. And it has just snowed. It's beautiful, isn't it, Art?
It is.
And today we're going to talk to you about deer problems that we have and how to keep deer out of the garden. We use some methods that we've gotten from this really handy book, and we're going to show you that book. It goes into all kinds of things about deer that you'll really like. So stay tuned. Before we get started, don't forget to subscribe by clicking the subscribe button and then the bell notification to get notified when we put out new videos. So here is the book that we're talking about, and it is called Deer Proofing Your Yard and Garden. The buck stops here. And this is a great book to teach you what deer like and what deer do not like to eat and how to discourage them the most from chewing your plants down to nothing. And that really does happen. I'm not sure if you have a deer problem, but it's so prevalent over the US. So what have we learned from the book, Art, and what do we do that we've learned in this book?
Well, one thing is that the deer in the wintertime, they're always scrambling around to find anything that is edible. In the summertime, we don't have the problem because the farm fields are actively growing.
Well, we do have the problem, just not as bad, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And, in the summertime, it's mainly things like hosta that they like to eat.
But in the wintertime...
In the wintertime, they'll eat anything. So a few things that we've learned in here is to try to create a barrier around your property. Mainly what we do is put up a filament line, which is fishing line.
And, we don't want to do a solid fence because we don't want to wall in our property. So
yeah, so where the fence is, of course, they don't come through. But the filament line does deter them.
Helps.
It helps. You know, nothing is 100%, but it sure does help. And
sometimes I have my doubts because we still get deer in, but it's just one line of defense among a few, right?
That's right. So the filament line, they basically are walking through and don't see that line, and they stop and they try to look at another area. Now, we have found that where the filament line has been broken, it's like an open gate, and they just take that less resistant area and walk in that direction.
And of course, if they're scared, they'll just, run right through it. So, it doesn't help there either. So what's a couple of the other things?
So another thing that we use it year round, is a product called Repels All. It's totally organic.
And we'll show you that in a minute.
And that is a smell taste thing that irritates the nostrils.
And you'll read in this book about smells and tastes and the different sprays that you can use. They even go into some homemade sprays or substances that you can make from household items, totally organic, totally safe for deer, but they would just be discouraged. So.
That's right. Another product we've used is Malorganite, which is basically
fertilizer.
It's a fertilizer, but it's actually sludge. It's an organic. It won't burn your plants. You can put it down all year long, and the deer don't like the taste of that either. So.
I think it might be the smell of it, actually. Those are the three things we do, and we're going to show you two of the three things very shortly. You'll go out with us in our yard and watch us putting down those different things. So one other thing I want to mention before we go into that is it is winter time now, and some people would question, well, why are you doing this in the winter when plants are either dormant and not growing, or sometimes they don't have leaves on them? What do you have to say about that, Art?
Well, like I said earlier, the winter time, the ground is covered. It's harder for them to get to things that are around on the ground in the woods, and farm crops aren't, growing at this time of year. So they're basically just prowling around.
They eat a lot more stuff, and the stuff that we have is evergreen. They're eating too, like English ivy. I mean, they usually do not bother that in the summer, but in the winter, they're really going to town on that. In addition, we have a shrub we like called Akuba that we've tried to plant. And I've read in the book something about them liking tender, young tender plants. And we've had a hard time getting these Akuba to grow big because the deer keep decimating them. And I guess in the wintertime, they'll just chew them right down to the ground, right?
Well, we have experienced that.
We have experienced
now,
that.
More mature shrubs, the Akuba, they tend to stay away from. So it's that tender young growth that they're attracted to.
Yeah. And the other plant we really have a problem with here is azaleas. Excuse me. Have to keep up with azaleas because they will just chew those off and there'll be no blooms in the spring. And the reason to have azaleas, in my opinion, is for the beautiful blooms in the spring. Don't you think, Art?
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, and I tell you, we've seen deer problems galore, but we have one client that has incredible deer problems. She lives in suburbia down in Baltimore, and man, they go to town on everything that she has. And we have to do something different there with her annuals. We have to put like deer netting over top of them, don't we?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And we haven't had to resort to that here yet. But things like pansies or vincas, tulips.
As soon as they start coming up.
Oh, yeah.
But we finally got beyond the problem with the deer with the tulips. As soon as they start emerging from the ground, we spray them. And then a few weeks later, we'll spray them again. And we have blooms once again.
And if you think spraying might be a little bit of work, this Repels All they say it lasts a month. So, and we found that to be true, even through rain and all. So if you just pick a day, pick the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month or whatever's convenient for you, and you just go out and you spray your plants once a month, it can truly, truly help, and it'll cut down on the problems with your deer immensely. So.
And I've actually found, we have a lot of hosta gardens around here.
We do.
And, spraying them twice a year, it just seems like they pretty much stay away. When you're kind of active around the house, twice this year we were away for a long weekend, say maybe 4 to 5 days. They recognized that we weren't here. And they went to town on those hostas. So if you're going to go on vacation, make sure you spray before you leave.
So anyway, why don't you come on with us, come on outside, and we'll show you deer-proofing our yard. If you'd like to get your copy of Deer-Proofing Your Yard and Garden, we'll have a link below in the description. Also, if you'd like any more tips, subscribe to our Gardening Tips newsletter by going to gardenmasterz.com/subscribe. So here's Art right now running the filament line. Now this area here, we have a problem because we have a fence here, but the deer come up through our neighbor's yard and they come in through this direction. Deer have a habit of always traveling the same routes, and this is the route they travel a lot. So Art's running the filament line right now up through this area to hopefully discourage them from coming in through this way.
So they say to run the line approximately 3 feet off the ground. 3 to 4 is good. You can see on this tree, I need to remove this other line from previous years. I'm not going to do it right now. It's very cold out. it's amazing how well this works. You know,
I kind of think it's questionable. Every little bit helps. Nothing's perfect.
but you know, over time, deer do get used to something. They smarten up. They might break through. But in the meantime, like Tony said, anything helps.
So this is our next line of defense, a spray. And this spray is called Repels All. And just like the name implies, it protects things from not only deer, but other animals as well. I mean, it says squirrels, rabbits, porcupines, if you happen to have porcupines.
Armadillos.
Armadillos, but mainly we use it because we have a deer problem. Now this one is a granular form. This one is a spray. And the granular, you sprinkle the granules on the ground and it's supposed to create like a fence type barrier for the deer. The spray goes right on the plants. So I'm gonna do this ivy bed, and a lot of it's been decimated already by the deer because we haven't gotten this on sooner. So I'm gonna do the ivy bed with the spray because below the ivy, they can't get to it. It's several feet down. So they access this bed from up here. So I'm going to do the sprinkle Repels All up here. And by the way, one last thing, Repels All is all organic. It smells kind of like garlic and some other things. I mean, it has a very strong smell and the deer just don't like it, but no need to worry because it is all organic. So let me do the spray. The sprinkle.
So the hydrangeas, they usually tend to really pick on younger plants.
Now these don't have any leaves on them. I don't know if they really eat the stems or not, but there are little tender shoots here that I just want to make sure they don't eat off. Spray that's wider. You really need to soak the plants.
Akuba, another plant that they enjoy. Oh no, they've already eaten it. They've decimated it.
Oh no, we missed it. We missed it.
Japanese hollies. Oh, we'll skip it. They don't like those. Azaleas, another yummy bush. Squirt, squirt, squirt. Aha, they've been here. Up the driveway.
Deer tracks.
Deer tracks.
What is this, Art? What is this? Liriope.
Yum, yum factor.
They love Liriope, especially in the winter. They don't touch it in summer, but the winter. This is a long bed of Liriope. It's going to take quite a bit of Repels All.
Even though deer will attack your plants, they're still going to grow. It's sort of like a natural pruning, but we want things like the Akuba to grow big.
And they keep chewing them down to the ground. They would chew them more if we didn't
I
spray
know.
them today.
So we're spraying them to at least have a survivable plant.
Yeah, exactly. And they will come back. You know, even if they're chewed down, they will come back. But we just don't want them to be chewed to the ground. And the Liriope, that stays green all winter, but in the spring, we need to cut off the green because new growth happens. However, we like the green during the winter because there's not a lot that's green, right, Art?
That's correct, Tony.
Yeah, so anyway, that's why we spray the Liriope, just to keep it green for the winter, even though in the spring, it all gets cut off. It all gets cut off, and, you know, the new growth then emerges.
And I have to say, later in the winter, close to spring, we'll let them chew it. You know what the
Yeah,
heck?
really. Then we don't have to prune it ourselves. Then we don't have to trim it off ourselves, right?
That's right.
And there you have it. Don't forget to subscribe by clicking the subscribe button and then the bell notification to get notified when we put out new videos.